Begin with strength and stillness. Have you ever noticed the first thing you do in the morning? Do you reach for your phone, check your emails, scroll through updates you missed while sleeping? Or do you pause, breathe, and ask yourself, who do I want to be today? That moment between sleep and wake-up signals is not small. It's a crossroads. And most people miss it completely. You see, the Stoics believe the morning is the most sacred time of day. It's the foundation of your character, the blueprint of how you will live, think, and react. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher minus king, once wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I rise to do the work of a human being." He was talking about checking your notifications. He was talking about rising with purpose. Because if you begin your day in chaos, rushing, reacting, scrolling your not just starting your morning in stress, you're rehearsing how to live your life in panic. But if you begin with stillness, if you make space for your own mind before letting the world in, you begin like a Stoic, like Seneca, like Epictetus, like Marcus. You begin with strength. And in this episode, you'll discover 10 morning practices, each rooted in timeless Stoic principles and supported by modern psychology. These are not abstract theories. They are concrete, practical steps, tools you can use starting tomorrow to regain control over your life. Let's start with the very first. Wake up with the call of courage. The alarm rings. Your eyes flutter open. You're groggy, still caught in the fog of sleep. And right there in that moment you face your first battle of the day. You can let your reflexes win. Pick up your phone. Let distractions flood in. Drift into passive reaction. Or you can pause. You can ask one powerful question. What is the first good thing I will do today? It doesn't need to be heroic. Just intentional. This is what the Stoics called proheres, is the inner faculty of choice. The power to decide your response. You're not waking up to consume. You're waking up to contribute. Not to escape the day, but to engage with it fully, like a warrior preparing for battle. Marcus Aurelius said, "You're getting up to be a human being, not to be a CEO, not to be impressive, just to live with reason, courage, and moral clarity." And here's a small shift that changes everything. Place a small note by your bed. Just a question. Today, will I be ruled by fear or by courage? Read it each morning. Let that be your first input before the world inserts its chaos. This one practice, a quiet moment of intention, rewires your default mode. Instead of starting your day in delay and grogginess, you begin with action. Instead of hiding in your comfort zone, you rise to face discomfort with clarity. And you'll notice something else. You begin to trust yourself again. If this message moved you, share it with someone who needs it. Principle to prendit adeo malo rum. Prepare your mind for the unexpected. Before your feet touch the ground, close your eyes. Not to fall back asleep, but to visualize. Today will test you. That's not pessimism, it's reality. There might be traffic, a sharp email, an insensitive comment, a mistake you didn't expect. But you don't need to fear any of it. You just need to be ready. The Stoics called this prendit adeo malo rum, the premeditation of evils. It's the art of anticipating adversity so you can meet it with calm. Epictetus thought, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Modern neuroscience agrees. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between what's vividly imagined or what's real. So when you mentally rehearse challenges, you're actually training your nervous system. You're rehearsing calm. So imagine that traffic jam, you breathe through it. That rude remark, you respond with curiosity, not sarcasm. That mistake, you learn from it instead of spiraling in shame. You've already lived the scenario. Your mind has practiced stillness. So when the real thing comes, you don't flinch. You don't need a meditation cushion or a long ritual. Just 3 minutes. Eyes closed. Imagine the day ahead with all its bumps and visualize your calm response. You can whisper to yourself, if I face delays, I will breathe. If someone is angry, I will not mirror it. I will redirect it. That's mental strength. And it only takes 3 minutes. Principle 3: 10 cycles of breath. Still lying in bed? Good. Now sit up straight. Close your eyes once more, not to escape but to focus. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Do this 10 times. That's it. No affirmations. No goals. No productivity hacks. Just your breath. This is how Marcus Aurelius began his mornings in the harsh Roman military camps. Amid the noise and tension, he turned inward, to the only place he could control his own mind. This simple breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your body that shifts you from tension to calm. Each breath is a message to your brain. I'm not in danger. I am safe. I am present. You don't need to count. Just feel. With every inhale, you invite clarity. With every exhale, you release unnecessary tension. In a world that shouts, this practice whispers, you are enough. You are in control. You are steady. This is not a performance. It's a ritual. One that takes just 2 minutes, but builds a foundation of stillness that carries you into the rest of your day. When you train your breath, you train your mind. You become less reactive, more grounded, unshakable. And isn't that what we're really after? Reclaim your focus. Reclaim your life. Your mind is already stirring. Thoughts are creeping in. Deadlines. Messages. That awkward thing someone said yesterday. And the day hasn't even started yet. Pause. This is where we practice the 4th Stoic principle. Principle for filter through the 2 controls. Epictetus taught us the most liberating idea in Stoicism. Some things are in our control, and some things are not. That's it. A single sentence that can break the chains of anxiety if you let it. So here's a morning practice to bring it to life. Take a piece of paper. Draw 2 columns. On the left, what I control. On the right, what I don't control. Now breathe. Don't rush to fill them. Just look at the blank page and feel its power. Because this isn't just a list, it's a declaration of freedom. In the right column, you'll place traffic, other people's moods, market conditions, delayed responses, random outcomes. You do not own these, and obsessing over them is a guaranteed way to suffer. In the left column, write what you can control: your preparation, your tone, your posture, your attention, your breath. These seem small, almost insignificant, but they are your leverage. They are the tools of your integrity. Because when you wake up and already feel pulled in 1,000 directions, this list brings you back to center. It reminds you I'm not here to control everything. I'm here to control myself. Picture this: you're waiting on a critical reply. Anxiety starts spinning. Will they say yes? What if they don't? Should I follow up again? That's column 2. That's not yours. What is yours? You revise the proposal. You send a kind follow minus up. You breathe. You let go. In that moment, you're no longer a slave to uncertainty. You're back in your lane. And you're free. Do this each morning. 3 minutes. 2 columns. 1 clear mind. Because calm doesn't come from having less to do, it comes from knowing what to care about. Principle 5: 5 lines of reflection. Grab a notebook. Doesn't have to be fancy. Doesn't have to be leather minus bound. It just needs a blank page. This is where you check in with your soul before the world gets a chance to invade it. Write 5 lines. Line 1: what am I grateful for today? Maybe it's the softness of your pillow, the roof over your head, or the fact that you get another shot at life. Gratitude is the antidote to anxiety. It reminds you you already have enough. Line 2: if a challenge arises, how will I respond? Write it out like a mini rehearsal. If someone interrupts me, you'll pause and ask for clarity. This is mental armor, woven in ink before the battle begins. Line 3: what small act of kindness will I do? A message. A smile. Holding a door. not for recognition, but because it's right. Kindness is strength in silence. A Stoic act of courage. Line for what virtue will I practice today? Pick one. Patience. Humility. Temperance. Courage. This is not a 2-do list. It's a 2-be list. Line 5, a quote to guide you. Seneca said, begin at once to live. Or maybe waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. Let that line echo through your day like a compass. This 5- line journal won't go viral, but it will change you, because it brings intention to the surface and pushes chaos to the side. And now a quick reminder, if any of this has sparked something in you, clarity, calm, or just curiosity, hit the like button. Subscribe for more truths that shift your perspective. You never know who else needs to hear this. Principle 6, set a goal of virtue, not results. What's your goal today? Close the deal? Hit a number? Impress someone? Those aren't bad goals, but they're fragile. They depend on external factors, people, luck, market timing. They're out of your hands. So here's what the Stoics did instead. They aimed for virtue, not because they didn't care about success, but because they didn't depend on it. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. Seneca advised emperors. Epictetus taught elite minds. They weren't passive, but they understood this truth. If your peace relies on results, you will always be a prisoner of outcomes. But if your goal is to act with integrity, patience, and courage, no one can take that from you. So reframe your goals. Not it'll win the argument, but it'll speak with common honesty. Not it'll close the deal, but it'll show up fully prepared, attentive, and fair. Now, success becomes a bonus, not the requirement. And when failure happens, and it doesn't destroy you. It refines you. Virtue goals make you stronger. Results goals make you anxious. So before you start your day, ask, what kind of person do I want to be today? Answer the that, and you've already won. Strengthen the body, awaken the mind. The morning is a fragile thing. Before the emails, before the meetings, before the distractions, there's a window. A space to either reclaim your life or hand it over to everything and everyone else. Most people don't even notice it, but you will. Because now, you're about to train yourself to wake up with purpose on every level. Principle 7, train the body to train the mind. Cato, a Roman Stoic, once walked barefoot through the streets of Rome. Not because he was poor, not because he liked pain, but because he understood something we've forgotten. If you can't handle discomfort in your body, you won't handle discomfort in your thoughts. Your body is not separate from your mind, it is the gateway to resilience. So, tomorrow morning, before you check your messages, check your muscles. Can you do 20 squats? A 1-minute plank? A cold shower? You don't need to be a gladiator. You don't need a gym membership. Just movement. Just breath. Just a willingness to get uncomfortable. Because in those first shaky reps, in that moment of hesitation, when you'd rather stay in bed, you'll hear a whisper. I choose the harder thing because it makes me stronger. And science agrees. Physical movement, especially in the morning, releases endorphins, sharpens focus, increases BD and FA protein that boosts brain function, and lowers stress. It's not just a workout. It's a mental upgrade. Marcus Aurelius trained daily as a warrior. Epictetus, despite his physical disability, stressed the discipline of physical mastery. Why? Because they knew. The body is the classroom where the mind learns discipline. So tomorrow, do something with your body. Anything that says, I'm here. I'm alive. I choose motion over stagnation. And when your muscles burn, your breath shortens, and your thoughts beg you to stop, smile. That discomfort. That's where strength is born. Principle 8, touch nature and light. You've moved your body. You've claimed your space. Now step outside even for 2 minutes. Open the window. Step onto the balcony. Stand barefoot in the grass if you can. Let the morning air touch your skin. Let the sunlight meet your eyes. And don't say anything. Just notice. This is not about being poetic. It's about being real. Modern neuroscience tells us that sunlight on the skin and retina resets your circadian rhythm, improves mood by raising serotonin, and lowers stress by regulating cortisol. And the Stoics? They didn't need science to tell them this. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations at dawn not to impress anyone, but to align his soul before stepping into battle. He watched the sunrise not as a spectacle, but as a reminder. The sun rises whether you're here or not. The trees grow without rushing. Nature moves forward, unshaken, without applause. And so can you. Because when you stand in silence, connected to something older and larger than yourself, ego dissolves. Anxiety fades. And presence returns. You don't have to escape to the mountains. You don't have to be a monk. You just have to pause. Look up. Breathe. 2 minutes in nature can ground you more than 20 minutes on your phone. Try it tomorrow. Before anything else touches your mind, let the earth remind you you're already part of something beautiful, strong, and calm. Principle 9 gives something small. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." And in the rush of modern mornings, we forget that giving is one of the simplest ways to reset our spirit. Before you get pulled into your own schedule, ask, who can I help today? A kind text, a compliment, building the door, letting someone merge in traffic. You're not doing it for thanks. You're doing it because kindness is a quiet kind of strength. Because when you give, without expecting anything back, you tell the world, I am already whole. Studies show that small acts of generosity light up the brain's social reward system. They boost mood, reduce stress, and increase life satisfaction. But more importantly, they remind you that you are not alone. You are part of something bigger. You are a node in the network of humanity. So try this one kind thing in the first hour of your day. No fanfare. No audience. Just you, acting from principle. And if the rest of the day is chaotic, if things fall apart, at least you'll know you started it right. That memory, that single act, will become an anchor. A reason to keep going. A reason to stand tall. Because true Stoics don't isolate to stay strong. They connect to stay grounded. And now we reach the final practice. The one that puts everything else in perspective. Principle 10, memento mori, remember, you will die. These words aren't meant to frighten you. They are meant to awaken you. Memento mori, remember death, is not a grim mantra. It's a gift. A lens that clarifies everything. The Stoics didn't avoid death. They carried it with them as a way to live more fully. Because if today was your last, would you waste the first hour of it on a screen? Would you rush? Panic? Pretend? Or would you show up with honesty, presence, and peace? You don't know how many mornings you have left. No one does. But this one, this breath, this heartbeat is still yours. Use it. When you open your eyes tomorrow, don't reach for your phone. Sit up. Feel the floor. Look out the window. And ask yourself, if this were my final morning, how would I choose to live it? Now you know how to begin. With strength. With stillness. With purpose. Not to impress. Not to hustle. But to live. And that is how a Stoic wakes up. Become unshakable by building morning mastery. Every morning is a doorway. Some walk through it unconsciously dragged by the past, distracted by the future. But others, they walk through it with awareness, like warriors stepping onto sacred ground. And that awareness of breath, of body, of mind is what turns a chaotic morning into a disciplined one. A reactive life into a deliberate one. But discipline doesn't come from force. It comes from rhythm. So now, we bring all 10 Stoic principles into a rhythm you can live by small step. Because wisdom is not something you study. It's something you practice. Step 1, wake before the world wants you. This isn't about waking up at 4 a.m. It's about waking up before noise takes over. Before inboxes and headlines start shaping your identity. When you rise before the world expects anything from you, you are free. Free to think. Free to breathe. Free to decide who you will be on your terms. Marcus Aurelius called it rising to do the work of a human being. That work begins not with tasks, but with clarity. Step to move without waiting. Don't give yourself time to negotiate. Just stand up. Stretch. Walk. Do 10 push-ups. Or just breathe deeply and stand in the light. What matters is motion. Every second you delay is a second where resistance grows stronger. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes. So simplify the moment. Strip it down. Not I need to do a full workout, but can I move for 60 seconds? Start there, because motion is momentum, and momentum is power. Step 3, ask one grounding question. Before the emails, before the coffee, before the chaos, ask, what kind of person do I want to be today? Then answer it, out loud, in writing, or just in your heart. Let that answer guide your posture, your tone, your choices. Because the world will try to define you. It will push you to react, to chase, to compete. But if you begin with inner alignment, you won't be so easily shaken. You won't be pulled into arguments you don't need to win. You won't be rattled by people who haven't done their own inner work. You act from principle, not from pressure. Step 4, make peace with what you cannot control. That meeting may be rescheduled. That person may not text back. The market might shift. The train might be late. You can't control any of that. But you can control how you show up. You can choose calm over panic. Clarity over complaint. Draw those 2 columns. Even in your head. That's what I control. Write what I don't. Let that become your mental filter. If it's in the right column, let it go. If it's in the left, do it well. This isn't apathy, it's alignment. It's your anchor in the storm. Step 5, take inventory of your character. Most people track steps, calories, income, goals. Few track virtue. But to a Stoic, character is the only true currency. So write down. One thing you're grateful for. One challenge you'll meet with calm. One kind act you'll do today. One virtue you'll practice. One quote to remember. That's your moral inventory. It's not a checklist for productivity. It's a map for living. Do it before your day begins and your compass will point true. Step 6, set a virtue-based goal. Don't aim for a number. Aim for integrity. Not a self-IV units, but it'll be honest in every conversation. Not it'll crush this pitch, but it'll speak with clarity even if I'm nervous. Because outcomes are fragile. Virtue is not. And when you win, it will feel clean. When you fail, it won't break you. You'll measure yourself not by what happened, but by how you showed up. And that's unshakable ground. Step 7, touch discomfort. Do one small thing that's hard. Physically. Get cold. Get tired. Get moving. Not to punish yourself, but to remind yourself. I can do hard things. Because every small discomfort you face now prepares you for the larger ones that life will inevitably send. Your body is not an enemy to defeat. It's a tool to awaken your will. Use it. Step 8, step outside your mind. Literally. Step outside your walls. Look up. Feel the air. Even if it's cold. Even if it's noisy. Touch nature. Feel the ground. Let light hit your skin. This is not sentimental. It's sacred. Because nature doesn't rush. And neither should you. This is how you reset your clock, not just biological, but psychological. In a world of artificial urgency, morning sunlight is the original truth. Step 9, give before you take. Before you take from the day, give something to it. A smile. A message. A small act no one sees. This isn't about self minus sacrifice. It's about self minus alignment. Because when you give freely, you don't need to prove anything. And when the day challenges you, as it will, you can remember. I started this day with love. I can end it with peace. Step 10, carry death in your pocket. Yes, you will die. Maybe not today, but maybe. Let that awareness make you more alive, not more afraid. Every morning is a rehearsal for the final one. So live it well. Ask, if this is my last morning, am I proud of how I woke up? If the answer is yes, then no matter what the day brings, you are already victorious. Because you didn't live by default. You lived by design. And that is how a Stoic begins the day. From habit to identity, living the Stoic morning. By now, you know the practices. You know how to breathe, how to reflect, how to rise with intention and act from virtue. But the real transformation doesn't come from knowing. It comes from doing again and again until it becomes who you are. This is how Stoicism works. Slowly, quietly, deeply. And if you keep going, these habits won't stay on paper. They'll become your character. Because what you do every morning is not just a routine, it's a ritual of becoming. So let's go deeper. Let's turn discipline into identity. Begin with self-minus honesty. Don't pretend. If you woke up late today, be honest. If you scrolled instead of breathing, be honest. If you snapped at someone, if you skipped your journal, if you forgot your purpose, that's okay. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be aware. Because the Stoic doesn't pretend to be flawless. The Stoic owns the fun begins again. That's why Marcus Aurelius journaled every morning, not to celebrate his perfection, but to confront his distractions. Self-minus honesty is the cornerstone of inner strength. It doesn't feel good at first, but it's freeing. You no longer waste energy performing for others. You simply return to your principles. Anchor your day in rhythm, not willpower. Most people think discipline is about brute force. Waking up with a battle cry. Pushing hard. But that doesn't last. What lasts is rhythm. A breath you return to. A journal you open without thinking. A quote you whisper as you pour your coffee. The Stoics knew that great change happens in small, repetitive steps. They understood. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. So build systems. Leave your journal on your pillow so you see it before bed and first thing in the morning. Write your chosen virtue on your mirror with a dry minus erase marker. Set your phone to airplane mode for the first 30 minutes of the day. Make it hard to drift. Easy to stay present. This isn't about discipline. It's about design. And it changes everything. Refine instead of reinvent. You don't need a brand minus new morning every day. You need a consistent one with small refinements. Like a craftsman's ending with one quiet stroke at a time. Today your breath might be deeper. Tomorrow your journal entry might be clearer. Next week you might notice your posture improves. Over time your morning becomes your masterpiece. And not because it looks impressive, but because it reflects your values. It becomes the training ground for everything else. Let your morning protect your peace. You can't control how the world will treat you today. You don't know what emails will come, what challenges will rise, or who will test your boundaries. But you can control how you prepare for them. Your morning is your shield. Your journal is your armor. Your breath is your clarity. And when things go wrong, and you will not be shocked. Because you rehearsed it. You built calm into your system. You made your peace stronger than your panic. That's what makes you unshakable. Remember, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. This quote by Marcus Aurelius isn't poetic, it's practical. If you begin your morning with fear, your soul wears fear. If you begin with blame, it wears blame. But if you begin with breath, intention, and presence, your soul wears strength. It wears grace. It wears calm. And that calm? It's contagious. Your presence will change the people around you, not because you say the right things, but because you are grounded in the right way. You become a quiet leader, a steady friend, a person others feel safer around, even if they don't know why. That's the real reward of this practice. Not status, not productivity, but presence. Keep the chain unbroken. One day at a time. One breath at a time. That's how you change your life. You don't need grand resolutions. You need consistency. And when you miss a day, don't miss two. Just return. Not with guilt, not with shame, with humility, with courage, just as a Stoic would. Because the work isn't to live a perfect life. The work is to return to yourself each day calmly, deliberately, and with open eyes. And if you're still wondering, will this really change my life? Try it for a week. Wake up and begin your morning with stillness, not noise. Choose your values before checking your feed. Move your body before sitting in meetings. Give something before asking for anything. Reflect with honesty before projecting control. And then watch what happens. Watch how the chaos no longer pulls you under. Watch how peace becomes your default, not your reward. Watch how strength rises not from shouting, but from silence. This is how the Stoics live. This is how you can live. One morning at a time. The morning is a mirror for your entire life. Every single day, you get a small version of your whole life. That version is called morning. How you meet it reflects how you meet everything else: your stress, your ambition, your fears, your values. If you greet the morning in chaos, you will likely live in chaos. But if you greet it with discipline, presence, and purpose, you begin to shift the arc of your life. This is not a theory. It's a mirror. And every morning, you get to look into it. How you do one thing is how you do everything. You heard that before. But the Stoics took it deeper. They believed that every small act contains the whole soul. Seneca wrote, "What is required is not a lot of time, but the right use of time." And what better moment to use well than the first hour of your day? Because it's not about having more hours. It's about having more ownership. And that begins with attention. If you can give the first minutes of your day to yourself, not to dopamine, not to anxiety, not to your inbox, but to yourself, you are claiming your life back. Your phone is a tool, not a master. Let's be honest. Most people wake up and hand over their mind to the world in the first 60 seconds. They scroll. They compare. They react. And just like that, the rhythm of their day is hijacked. But it doesn't have to be that way. When you delay your first check-minus in with the world, you send yourself a message. I come first. My clarity matters. My energy is mine to manage. That's not selfish. It's wise. Because only a centered person can serve others without losing themselves. So set a rule: no phone for the first 30 minutes. Replace that time with breath, reflection, movement, silence. Make your phone serve your priorities, not steal them. This one change will shift everything. Own your morning. Own your mind. Let's say your job is stressful. You can't predict what the day will bring. Emails, expectations, emergencies. But the morning? That's yours. That's your training ground. Think of it like a mental doorway space to rehearse calm, focus, presence. Every breath is a sparring session with your future stress. Every journal entry is a counterstrike to emotional chaos. Every active movement is a way of saying, I choose strength today. And over time, you stop reacting. You start responding. Not because life got easier, but because you got steadier. That's what morning practice does. It prepares you not for perfection, but for presence. And presence is more powerful than control. Live by design, not by default. Most people live by accident. They do what others do. React how others react. Chase what others chase. But the Stoic lives by design. They ask what matters. And then they build a life around the answer. That life starts in the morning. It doesn't need to be grand. Just intentional. Don't make a 2-do list. Make a 2-be list. Instead of, I have to finish this, fix that, send that. Say, today I will be present. I will be patient. I will be honest. That's how design begins. Not with what you do, but with who you decide to be. You are what you repeat. You are not your best moment. You are not your worst moment. You are your patterns. And your morning routine is your most powerful pattern. It can be your downfall or your anchor. Because repetition is identity. It shapes your beliefs, your attention, your emotional tone. So when you choose a morning of breath, of reflection, of movement, of virtue, you are not just having a good day. You are becoming a good person. Not good in the moralistic sense. Good in the Stoic sense, strong, steady, aware, aligned. Success starts with stillness. The modern world teaches us to start fast. Coffee. Hustle. Crush it. Dominate. But the Stoics knew something different. Stillness is not laziness. It's clarity before action. It's the ability to act without being driven by panic. And in that clarity, true effectiveness arises. You don't waste energy on reaction. You conserve it for precision. And in the long run, the still ones go further. They burn slower, but they burn longer, brighter, cleaner, because they are not pulled by noise. They are moved by principle. And that begins each morning. Return to breath, return to self. When all else fails, return to breath. That's your foundation. Always there. Always honest. You don't need apps. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need for seconds in, 2 seconds hold, 6 seconds out. You need a moment to remember I am here. I am aware. I am enough. And from that space, everything changes. The meeting becomes less scary. The inbox less overwhelming. The future less urgent. Because you are no longer trying to control everything. You are simply choosing how to show up. That's Stoicism. That's mastery. And it begins quietly, consistently, intentionally with your morning. Crafting a legacy in the first hour. Every morning, you're not just waking up. You're rewriting the opening paragraph of a story. The story of this day. And this day, like all others, will eventually become your life. The Stoics didn't aim to create masterpieces in one moment. They focused on living 1 hour well. Then another. Then another. Until that string of hours wove together into a life of integrity, clarity, and peace. And it all started in the morning. Ask yourself, what story am I writing today? Not what task. Not what project. What story? Are you writing the story of a rushed, distracted, anxious person who sprints through life trying to catch up? Or the story of a calm, steady, thoughtful human who wakes with intention and moves with purpose? Because every choice you make in the first hour becomes a word, a sentence, a paragraph in that story. And soon, it becomes your identity. Write carefully. Write wisely. Replace urgency with presence. Our culture glorifies urgency. Check messages fast. React faster. Always be available. But the Stoic understands something deeper. Urgency is often just anxiety in disguise. Presence is the antidote. When you begin your day with yourself, not your inbox, not your calendar, not your reputation, you create a zone of power. The outside world will still demand your attention. But now, it must pass through the filter of your presence. You don't abandon urgency because you're lazy. You abandon it because you are deliberate. And a deliberate person is 10 times more effective than a reactive one. Because they move from principle, not panic. Simplicity is sacred. You don't need a 25-step morning routine. You don't need cold plunges, supplements, biohacking, or a productivity guru whispering in your ear. You need quiet. You need breath. You need sunlight. You need a reminder that you are mortal and a chance to decide what to do with that truth. The Stoics didn't build their mornings to impress. They built them to endure. Your first 30 minutes don't need to be complicated. They just need to be yours. Make a list if it helps. Not a checklist of achievements, but a ritual of remembrance. Wake. Breathe. Reflect. Move. Choose a virtue. Step into the world with stillness. That's enough. More than enough. Stop asking for motivation. Ask for alignment. People say, I just need motivation. But motivation is fleeting. It depends on sleep, mood, weather, feedback, likes. It's soft. What you need is alignment. Alignment doesn't ask how you feel. It asks who you are. And when your morning routine is built on alignment, you don't wait to feel ready. You act because it's the right thing to do. That's stoic. That's strength. Build an inner fortress. You cannot predict the day. People will disappoint you. Technology will break. Plans will change. But your inner world? That's yours to protect. And your morning is the time to build its walls. Brick by brick. Silence by silence. Choice by choice. Because if you don't choose what enters your mind first, someone else will. And once the world gets in, it's hard to get it out. So defend the gate. Stand watch. Be the guardian of your own attention. That's what a morning practice is: a fortress, not a fantasy. It doesn't guarantee peace. It prepares you for the battle. Let stillness be your superpower. In a world addicted to noise, stillness is rebellion. It's the power to observe without reacting, to choose without rushing, to feel without being overwhelmed. Stillness isn't emptiness. It's control. It's the ability to remain calm while others panic, to hold your ground while others sway, to speak only when words are necessary and to let silence do the rest. That's the essence of Stoicism. And it starts when the world is still sleeping, when the streets are quiet, when your thoughts are most honest. Use it. You breathe. You remember who you are. And from that space, you live differently. Be someone your future self will thank. There's a version of you years from now who will look back at this morning. Will they thank you for it? Or will they wish you had taken it more seriously? The Stoic lives with this in mind. They don't live just for now. They live with the long game in their bones. They understand that every decision echoes, and the first echo of the day is the most important one. So tomorrow morning, don't aim for perfection. Aim for alignment. Be the kind of person who wakes up, stands tall, breathes deeply, and says, "Today, I will live on purpose." Not because the world is watching, but because your soul is. The mind before the world, building your mental shield. Let's strip everything back for a moment. No philosophy. No quotes. No structure. Just this question. What kind of world do you want to live in today? Because the answer begins not out there, but in here in your own mind. If your first thoughts are rushed, your world will feel rushed. If your first attention is fear, your world will feel threatening. But if your first moments are calm, you start to reshape the world, one breath at a time. This is why the Stoics insisted on one thing: not let the world in before you've spoken to yourself. Your inner voice sets the tone for everything. Epictetus warned, you become what you give your attention to. And there's nothing more dangerous than beginning the day listening to everyone but yourself. Scrolling social media, checking headlines, absorbing noise that has nothing to do with your values. You start reacting before you've even remembered who you are. So reclaim the first voice you hear each day. Let it be your own steady, clear, firm. Let it be a whisper of purpose, a breath of strength, a reminder of your compass. And if your voice is shaky at first, that's okay. It will strengthen with practice. Every action is a vote for the person you're becoming. When you wake up and choose to move, even for 60 seconds, that's a vote for resilience. When you breathe instead of scroll, that's a vote for clarity. When you write a single line in your journal, that's a vote for awareness. You don't need to win the day in one shot. You just need to cast votes. Over time, those votes become habits. And those habits become identity. You don't try to become stoic. You become stoic by practicing like one. Start with presence, not performance. Many people treat mornings like auditions. They jump into emails, messages, tasks trying to prove their worth before they've even remembered their name. But you don't need to earn your value today. You don't need to win the morning to be worthy. You just need to show up with presence. Breathe. Reflect. Step into the day not as a performer, but as a participant in something larger. Not everything needs to be conquered. Some things just need to be entered slowly, wisely, fully. Build mental immunity. Just as your body develops immunity through exposure and preparation, your mind becomes stronger through consistent morning rituals. That 3-minute visualization. That's rehearsal for adversity. That short journal entry? That's programming your attention. That quiet moment of breath? That's installing a buffer between stimulus and reaction. So when the unexpected happens, Andy, well, you're not surprised. You're steady. Because your morning trained you. It inoculated you against chaos. You don't panic. You pivot. You don't crumble. You choose. And that's not magic. It's practice. Let your first victory be invisible. We live in a culture obsessed with results. How many steps? How many likes? How much money? But the Stoics' first victory is invisible. It's the moment you don't reach for your phone. The moment you choose silence over stimulation. The moment you respond with patience instead of sarcasm. No one sees it, but you feel it. And it changes everything. Because the best kind of strength is the kind that doesn't need to prove itself. It just is. Quiet. Clean. Firm. Be ruthless with what enters your mind. The morning is when your mental walls are lowest. You're invulnerable. Open. Absorbing. This is where most people let in poison. News they can't control. Comparison they didn't ask for. Anxiety they don't understand. So be ruthless. Ask, does this serve my character? If not, it waits. You don't need to be uninformed. You just need to be intentional. Curate your inputs like your life depends on it, because it does. Speak to your future self. Before stepping into the world, close your eyes and imagine. It's evening. The day is done. You're about to sleep. You reflect. What kind of day would make you proud? Not in terms of what you achieved, but who you were. Were you honest? Calm? Kind? Did you return to your breath when anger flared? Did you align your actions with your values? That version of you, the one at the end of the day, needs your support right now. So speak to them. Say, in building the kind of morning you'll be thankful for. You are not behind. You are beginning. Maybe you're reading this thinking, I've wasted too many mornings. I've been reactive, undisciplined, scattered. But the beauty of Stoicism is this. It always begins now. You are never behind. Every morning is a reset. Every sunrise is forgiveness. You don't need to carry yesterday into today. You just need to carry awareness into the next breath. That's the real magic of the Stoic morning. It doesn't demand perfection. It simply invites your presence. The art of a quiet revolution. There's a revolution happening inside you. But not the kind with noise, flags, or speeches. This revolution doesn't make headlines. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need anyone's approval. It happens silently. At 6 o'clock. In stillness. In the pause before you check your phone. In the space between intention and reaction. This is the Stoic revolution. A quiet reclaiming of the self. Let your mornings be your resistance. In a world designed to scatter your mind, the most rebellious thing you can do is center it. When everything says, rush, compete, react, you say pause, reflect, choose. When others chase attention, you choose alignment. You don't try to impress. You rise to become. Because you understand the world is not going to make space for your peace. You have to create it. And that creation begins every morning. Keep your ritual, no matter the season. There will be good days and bad days. Mornings when you feel inspired. Mornings when you feel numb. Mornings when you'd rather stay under the covers. But Stoicism is not a fair-minded weather philosophy. It's built for storms. It thrives in the ordinary. So keep the ritual. Even when it feels pointless. Even when it feels flat. That's the point. Ritual isn't about how it feels. It's about who you're becoming by doing it anyway. When you journal without inspiration, you're strengthening discipline. When you breathe through resistance, you're teaching your body to obey your values, not your moods. That's what separates the Stoic from the crowd. Consistency over intensity. Let the first win be over yourself. You don't need to conquer the world today. You need to conquer your own apathy. You don't need to make perfect choices all day. You need to make one aligned choice in the first 5 minutes. Get up when you said you would. Put your feet on the ground with intention. Breathe when you feel resistance. These are the small victories that build a life of integrity. They won't trend on Twitter, but they will echo in your soul. Begin each morning with a moral rehearsal. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And so, we rehearse. Not just the tasks, but the temptations. You imagine someone criticizing your work. You feel the urge to defend, to argue. But in your morning mind, you pause. You choose curiosity over defensiveness. You imagine yourself breathing instead of blaming. That rehearsal becomes your script. So when the moment arrives, you don't need to invent calm. You've already practiced it. Just like a warrior drills with their sword. Just like a musician warms up with scales. You rehearse your morality. You strengthen your response. You prime your best self. Be prepared to begin again. Some mornings will slip. You'll sleep in. You'll check your feed. You'll skip your breath. Don't spiral. Don't overthink it. Just begin again. The Stoics didn't expect perfection. They expected effort. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Don't be ashamed to need help." Like a soldier storming a wall, you have a mission to accomplish. If you've been wounded and need to get back on track, then do it. Your morning got away from you? Okay. Reset. Mid-minus morning is still morning. So is noon, if it needs to be. Reclaim the next moment. Reclaim the next breath. There is always another beginning waiting for you. Remember, your life is a collection of mornings. You may not remember every evening, but your mornings, they shape your state, your emotions, your presence, your posture toward the world. If you can win the morning, you don't need to dominate the day, because the victory is already inside you. Every email answered with calm, every delay met with grace, every person greeted with patience. These are the signs that you've done the morning work. You don't need to announce it. You just live it. You become the quiet example others don't understand but feel. You become the person they say, "I don't know what it is about them, they just seem centered." That's what a Stoic morning gives you. Not just routine, but radiance. Turn your routine into a philosophy. Most people seek habits that make them productive, but you're seeking habits that make you whole. That's different. You're not just checking off tasks. You're reshaping your soul. Every breath, every movement, every reflection is a prayer. Not to a god, but to the life you're choosing. And that kind of ritual, that changes everything. The morning is your moral compass. There's something sacred about being the first person awake. The air is in touch. The world is undecided. Time feels slower, wider, more yours. In that quiet, you're no longer performing. You're no longer reacting. You are simply being. And that space free from noise is where your true values speak. It's where your moral compass sharpens. Because when the outside world is silent, the inner world can finally be heard. Let virtue set your direction. Most people start their day with a 2-do list. But the Stoics began with a 2-B list. Not what should I achieve today, but what kind of person do I want to be today? Courageous? Honest? Disciplined? Generous? These are not lofty ideals. They are choices. Choices that begin with awareness and are reinforced in the first hour. So pick your virtue in the morning. One word. That's it. Write it. Speak it. Visualize it. Let that single word become the compass for every decision that follows. When the meeting goes sideways, when the client disappoints, when your plans unravel, you return to your virtue, because that's who you said you'd be. And in that return, you stay grounded even when the world spins. Refuse to be a slave to emotion. Let's be clear, emotions are natural. But a Stoic is not a puppet of every passing feeling. They feel anger, yes, but they don't become anger. They feel fear, but they don't obey it. This mastery doesn't come from suppression. It comes from preparation. And the morning is where you prepare. When you breathe deeply for 10 cycles, you are not calming down, you are training your nervous system to respond with intention. When you visualize a hard conversation and rehearse your response, you are not avoiding discomfort, you are strengthening your grace under pressure. This is the morning armor. It doesn't look like much, but it protects everything. Let gratitude anchor your mindset. The Stoics didn't just reflect on death to feel urgency. They also reflected on life to feel reverence. Seneca reminded us that we must enjoy all things which are given as if they were load. That breath, a gift. That cup of coffee, a privilege. That warm bed you're leaving, not guarantee. Gratitude reframes what you already have and teaches you to meet the day not from lack, but from abundance. It shifts you from comparison to appreciation, from craving to contentment. So write it down every morning, and grateful for, and mean it. Let that be the first flavor your soul tastes before the world offers bitterness. Don't seek motivation. Seek meaning. Motivation fades. Some mornings it's there. Some mornings it's gone. But meaning that stays. It endures through fatigue, setbacks, and monotony. If your morning practices are only fueled by motivation, you will quit. But if they are tied to meaning, to your values, your identity, your purpose, you will return again and again. Even when it's hard. Even when it's quiet. Even when no one notices. That's devotion. That's philosophy in action. Decide your attitude before the world decides it for you. Someone will frustrate you today. Something will go wrong. You will be misunderstood, delayed, disappointed. But the Stoic doesn't wait for life to be easy to feel peace. They decide before the chaos begins that their attitude will be their own. It's not indifference. It's sovereignty. So say it in the morning. No matter what happens today, I will remain calm. And say it again when tested. Because that statement isn't just a hope. It's a promise to yourself. One you must honor if you're ready to live with dignity. Rituals create rhythm. Rhythm creates identity. People say, I'm not a morning person. But the truth is you become whatever you repeat. You don't need to change everything overnight. You need to build rhythm. A short journal. A few deep breaths. One quiet moment of reflection. That rhythm becomes a drumbeat under your day. A background music that steadies your steps. It gives your life texture. Cohesion. Coherence. You're no longer reacting to everything. You're reacting from something. That something is you anchored, alert, alive. Let the day begin with integrity. You don't need the world to affirm your value. You don't need to feel 100% every day. But you do need to be able to look yourself in the mirror at the end of it and say, I showed up. Not perfectly, but fully. That begins in the morning. With one honest moment. One breath that says, I'm here. One act that says, I'm trying. One step that says, I'm walking toward the person I want to be. And that's enough. That's more than enough. The invisible wealth of a Stoic morning. There is a kind of wealth that no one can steal from you. It doesn't live in your bank account. It doesn't sit in your garage. It's not measured in followers or fame. It's the wealth of being unshaken, of having a calm mind when others are panicking, of having direction when others are lost, of having peace before the day even begins. That's the kind of wealth a Stoic morning builds. And it's invisible to the world but deeply felt by you. Strength is quiet, but it's not weak. You don't need to shout to be strong. You don't need to sprint out of bed at 4 a.m. and plunge into a freezing bath. You just need to show up fully. When you breathe with focus before reacting, when you reflect before speaking, when you move with purpose instead of rushing, you are training strength, not flashy strength, enduring strength, the kind that doesn't collapse when things go sideways, the kind that holds steady when you're criticized, ghosted, or rejected, because you've already faced discomfort in small doses every morning, and now discomfort doesn't own you. You own yourself. What you do in silence echoes in pressure. No one sees your journal at 6:30 a.m. No one claps when you sit in stillness or walk in the morning light. But those acts, quiet, simple, invisible, become your foundation. They shape how you show up in the heat of life. Because you've already trained stillness before the noise came. You've already chosen your values before the tension arrived. You've already rehearsed calm before the chaos began. So when the pressure hits, you don't have to find your footing. You're already standing on it. Make your life a temple, not a stage. The modern world rewards performance. Look productive. Look happy. Look perfect. But the Stoic isn't performing. They're practicing. They're building a life like a temple, quiet, sacred, resilient. Not made to impress, made to endure. So let your mornings be temple time. No audience. No applause. Just you, your principles, your breath. That's where the real work is done. Not to be seen, but to be strong. Invest where returns are certain. You can invest your attention in 1,000 things today. Most of them will not return anything of value. But a morning of intention? That always pays. Not in dollars, but in emotional dividends. Clarity, energy, focus, grace. These are the returns of stillness. And you don't need much. 10 breaths, 5 lines in a journal, 2 minutes of light, 1 act of courage. That's a portfolio no economy can crash. And the longer you hold it, the richer you become on the inside. Forgive yourself quickly. Begin again quietly. Some days you'll forget. You'll scroll. You'll rush. You'll react. That's okay. The Stoic doesn't waste time in self-minus hate. They simply return to the path. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." So don't waste another second beating yourself up. Just come back to your breath, to your values, to your rhythm. That's the difference between the stuck and the strong. Not that one never falls, but that one returns faster. Choose rhythm over intensity. Intensity burns bright and dies fast. Rhythm hums quietly and lasts. Don't try to overhaul your mornings overnight. Pick one thing. Keep it. Protect it. Let it become part of your bloodstream. Maybe it's the journal. Maybe it's walking outside before sunrise. Maybe it's whispering a quote to yourself before the phone turns on. One rhythm, kept daily. That's enough. Soon, it expands. Not because you force it, but because your soul begins to crave it. Because it feels like home. Be a quiet leader. You don't need a title to lead. You just need to live well. When others see you calm in chaos, when they notice your grace under pressure, when they feel safer around you, even if they don't know why, that's leadership. And it starts in your morning, in the decisions no one sees, in the integrity no one praises, in the routines no one claps for, but they feel it. You become a compass not through command, but through consistency. Memento mori, every morning is a gift. Don't forget the final anchor. You will die. Maybe not today, but one day. And each morning not only brings new time, it takes time away. Let that sharpen your attention. Let it burn away the petty. Let it bring urgency, not to achieve, but to live rightly. To look at your own reflection and say, "This is who I chose to be today." That is wealth. That is wisdom. That is Stoicism lived, not studied. The final breath before the world begins. So now you stand at the edge of something simple but profound. A single morning. A few quiet moments. A breath, a stretch, a line in a journal. None of it looks impressive from the outside. But from the inside, it's the construction of a fortress. And every brick of that fortress laid in silence protects your peace for the rest of the day. This is the final reminder. Not to add more, but to live more deeply with less. Because a true Stoic morning doesn't require complexity. It requires consistency and commitment to yourself, to your values, to the kind of life you want to live regardless of what the world expects. Let your first step be sacred. Before the notifications, before the meetings, Before the roles, you must wear parent, worker, partner, leader step into the morning as just one thing. A soul with a choice. You don't tell the world anything in your first 5 minutes. You owe yourself a moment. A pause. A question: what kind of day will I create today? Answer it with your breath, with your posture, with your decision to start with stillness, not stimulation, with purpose, not panic. That first step out of bed into light toward intention is not small. It's spiritual. It's everything. Breathe like your peace depends on it, because it does. Return to breath whenever you forget. Not as a hack, not as a break, but as a remembering. 4 seconds in, 2 seconds hold, 6 seconds out. Let each cycle clean the slate. Let it remind you, you are not your thoughts. You are not your mood. You are not your inbox. You are the space behind all of it. Still, awake, capable. The breath is always there. So let it become your ritual. A bridge back to yourself again and again. Don't chase the morning. Create it. Most people stumble into their day. You won't, because you've chosen to create a morning, not just experience one. You're not reacting to light. You're moving toward it. You're not trying to win the morning. You're trying to honor it. Big difference. One is frantic. The other is rooted. One is desperate. The other is dignified. That's the difference you've built. That's the muscle you've trained. That's the spirit you carry. The reward is in the return. Did you do it perfectly? That's not the question. Did you return? That's the one that matters. Every time you choose intention over impulse, every time you come back to your journal, your breath, your reflection, you are training your future. You are sending a message to yourself: this life matters. These minutes matter. I matter. That's the reward. Not applause, not productivity, but a soul that knows where it stands. And now it's time. Time to enter the world. But not as the version of youth that's rushed, rattled, or reactive. You step into this day grounded, aware, unshakable. You've rehearsed your values. You've softened your ego. You've connected to light, to breath, to truth. You're not performing. You're being. And as you walk into conversations, decisions, challenges, and opportunities, you'll carry this with you. Stillness is a choice. Strength is quiet. Peace is built. And every morning is a chance to begin again. So start today and tomorrow and again the next. You don't need to master everything. Just master this moment, this breath, this step. And from there, the Stoic in you will rise every single morning until it becomes not just something you do, but someone you are. If this message grounded you, share it with someone you care about. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for more truths that cut through the noise and help you build a life of strength and stillness. Thank you for walking this path with me. Now go walk your day like a Stoic. We are currently giving away a free ebook, 12 Stoic lessons that will change your life. To receive your gift, simply follow the channel and leave a comment that says, "I have followed," or "I would like to receive the gift." We will reply with the download link directly below your comment.